Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to introduce many different aspects of the Star Wars franchise that fans have never seen before on the big screen by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So one exciting aspect of Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to be a revelation movie. It's going to have a lot of twists and turns, as well as surprises that will lead to many different saga-wide implications. That's going to change our view on all the past 8 Star Wars films that come before this one. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this movie, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for the characters of Qui Gon Jinn, Kylo Ren, and even Rey, and more. Now, specifically, what's really exciting about all of this is that a description of both Rey and Kylo Ren holding hands, where it's described that they are both surrounded by and shrouded in darkness, where Kylo Ren is said to be using a new force power during one of their force bond sequences in the film. This power is described to be the ability of flow walking. The next describes a sequence where both Kylo and Rey begin to hear distant voices of the past, ranging from Kenobi, Luke, Vader, Anakin, and eventually a line of dialogue of Qui Gon Jinn from the Phantom Menace. The next describes a sequence in which Rey and Kylo witness the duel between Qui Gon and Darth Maul on Naboo from Star Wars Episode 1, where the scene shows a couple of shots from the first film of the prequel trilogy, where it has a slight blur effect added to it to make the scene of Qui-Gon very dreamlike, leading to the very moment of Qui-Gon's death, where the scene begins to crumble and morph into when Luke is fighting Vader from The Empire Strikes Back just above the red LED stairs, where the dialogue of Vader states, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker," in the scene. The scene is said to involve enhanced footage from the past 8 films that show glimpses of the iconic saber scenes of the Skywalker saga. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why I believe that this is not only JJ's version of the Worlds Between Worlds, but it's also heavily inspired from, of course, the flow walking technique that Jason Solo used in Star Wars Legends material. In case you guys are unaware, Jason Solo was the Legends version of Ben Solo. Now, what I like about this is that this is taking us once again a trip down memory lane and experiencing all of these past elements of the past 8 movies that come before this movie. Now, we do know that this movie is a big deal. You know, we also know that J.J. Abrams is really going out with a bang in this movie, and he's doing everything he can in order to really introduce all new types of Star Wars lore, ranging from powers to artifacts and relics to environments. I mean, the list goes on. So this specific sequence is Kylo Ren using the ability of flow walking while he is actually connected with Rey during one of their force bond sequences. Now, that's a very interesting take on flow walking, where Kylo Ren is literally able to, I guess you could say, somewhat invite Rey into his flow walking technique while they are both connected, and he is able to show her elements of the past. Now, it's said to lead up to a moment in which they begin to hear voices of the past, similar to how Ezra Bridger experienced, his whole entire experience within the Worlds Between Worlds, where Ezra heard, voices of Kylo Ren and, other characters like Rey, etc. So in this specific scene, they eventually hear a line of dialogue of Qui-Gon Jinn from Star Wars The Phantom Menace that eventually leads up to the very scene in which Qui-Gon is fighting Darth Maul and eventually dies before the eyes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now before the eyes of Kylo and Rey, that eventually morphs and crumbles into another scene where Luke Skywalker is facing Darth Vader, where Vader delivers a line of dialogue stating, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker." So you can really see how this movie is really going to introduce new types of Star Wars lore. Flow walking is basically the version of time travel in Star Wars. And we all know how, much J.J. Abrams loves time travel and alternate realities and all these different aspects of time that can be looked at in a different way. And you can really see why JJ wants to introduce this in The Rise of Skywalker. It's almost like he can't help himself, right? If you look at anything, Westworld, Lost, Fringe, almost anything that he's related to, there's some kind of element of time travel or alternate realities or something to that extent in any project that he has been attached to in any way, shape, or form, whether he be a writer, director, executive producer, a producer, whatever it may be. JJ loves that side of filmmaking, and I'm hoping and really crossing my fingers that it just works for Star Wars Episode 9, where it won't come off as a little cheesy or just not feeling right on film. Again, like I've always said before, it feels right in an animated TV series. It's just a matter of how it's going to work in a live-action Star Wars movie. Nonetheless, I do have hope, and I'm really crossing my fingers that he's going to be able to pull this off and knock it out of the park, in which I really do believe he will. I really do think that this movie is going to mark itself down as the best of the sequel trilogy. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.